They won't say it, not yet, but if you look closely, they already have. There's a strange kind of love that doesn't arrive with a confession. No grand speech, no dramatic moment, just quiet, almost invisible shifts. The kind most people overlook because they're too busy waiting for words. You've probably felt it before, that subtle tension in the air when someone's presence feels different. The way their eyes linger a second too long. The way silence between you feels full instead of empty. And yet, nothing is said. Because real love, especially the kind that's still unfolding, doesn't rush to announce itself. It reveals itself in fragments, in small hesitations, in unconscious gestures, in the things they don't even realize they're doing. And here's the truth most people miss. By the time someone says, "I love you," they've already been showing it for a long time. But only a few people know how to read those signs. Today, I'm going to walk you through 7 silent signals, the kind that don't scream for attention, but quietly reveal everything. These are the moments where love slips through the cracks of ordinary behavior, unnoticed, unspoken, but deeply real. And once you see them, you won't be able to unsee them. Part 1. The energy shift you can't explain. Before we begin, I want you to pause for a second. Think of someone whose presence feels different, not louder, not more dramatic, just deeper. That's where the first signal begins. There's an energy shift when someone is quietly falling in love with you. It's subtle, almost impossible to explain logically, but you feel it. Conversations with them feel more intentional. Even silence feels meaningful. Carl Jung once said, "The meeting of 2 personalities is like the contact of 2 chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed." And that's exactly what's happening here. They may not say anything unusual, but their presence starts to affect you. You notice you're more aware when they're around. They seem more attentive, more present. As if in a room full of people, their focus keeps drifting back to you. This isn't coincidence. When someone is in love, their mind begins to prioritize you unconsciously. Their energy aligns toward you, not forcefully, but naturally, like gravity. Think about it like this. Imagine walking into a room, and without knowing why, your eyes search for one person. That pull? That's not logic, that's emotional attachment forming beneath awareness. And here's the part most people miss. You might think you're imagining it, that you're reading too much into things. But love, in its earliest form, doesn't announce itself clearly. It whispers. So if you feel a shift, a quiet but undeniable change in how they exist around you, you're not imagining it. You're noticing something real. Part 2. They remember what others forget. Let me ask you something. Have you ever mentioned something casually, almost carelessly, and weeks later they brought it up as if it mattered? Not in a forced way, not to impress you, but naturally, like it stayed with them. That's not normal attention. That's emotional investment. Because when someone is quietly falling in love with you, their mind begins to treat your words differently. Things that would fade away with others stay. Carl Jung once hinted at this idea when he said, "Where love rules, there is no will to power." In other words, real love doesn't try to dominate or impress. It listens deeply. They remember your favorite song, even if you mentioned it once. They recall that random story you told at 2 a.m. They notice when your mood slightly shifts, even when you pretend you're fine. And here's the truth. People don't remember everything. They remember what matters to them. Think about your own life. You forget dozens of conversations every week. Names blur, details disappear. But when someone means something to you, your mind holds on to fragments of them like they're important, because they are. This is how love quietly rewires attention. It turns ordinary moments into meaningful ones, and the most beautiful part? They're not even trying to do this. It happens unconsciously, effortlessly. like your existence has become significant to them in a way they can't fully explain yet. So if someone remembers the version of you that others overlook, if they hold on to your words like they matter, it's not just kindness, it's something deeper. Part 3. Your absence changes them. Now let's go somewhere deeper, because love doesn't just reveal itself in presence, it reveals itself in absence. Watch carefully what happens when you're not around. Do they go quieter? Do they seem slightly off? Like something is missing, but they can't explain what? Most people perform emotions when you're in front of them. They smile, they engage, they show interest. But when someone is truly in love, their behavior changes even when there's no audience. Friedrich Nietzsche once said, "It is not the absence of love, but the absence of friendship that makes unhappy marriages." And hidden in that idea is something powerful. Real connection affects your internal world, not just your external behavior. When someone loves you silently, your absence creates a kind of emotional imbalance inside them. They check their phone more often, even when they know there's no message. They revisit conversations in their mind, replaying small moments you've probably forgotten. They feel a strange restlessness, like something unfinished. It's not dramatic, it's quiet, but it's consistent. Think about this in real life. Have you ever noticed someone suddenly becoming distant, but not in a cold way, more like distracted, as if part of their attention is somewhere else? That somewhere else might be you. Because when someone becomes emotionally attached, your presence becomes part of their normal state. And when that state is interrupted, even slightly, it creates a shift they can't ignore. And here's the part people misunderstand. They may not reach out, they may not express it, but internally they feel it deeply. So if someone's energy subtly changes when you disappear, if your absence leaves behind a quiet echo in their behavior, that's not coincidence, that's attachment turning into love. Part 4. Your happiness affects them more than their own. Now this is where everything becomes undeniable, because when someone is truly in love with you, your happiness doesn't just matter to them, it moves them. Watch closely. When something good happens to you, do they light up? Not in a performative way, not just "that's nice" or "I'm happy for you," but genuinely, almost as if they experience the joy themselves. This is rare, because most people, even when they care, still operate from a center of self. Their emotions orbit around their own experiences. But love, real love, shifts that center. Suddenly you become part of their emotional world. As the Buddha taught, true love is born from understanding. And understanding creates connection so deep, your joy becomes their joy, your pain becomes their weight. They celebrate your wins more than their own. They notice when you're excited, and they amplify it. They feel uneasy when you're not okay, even if you haven't said a word. And here's the quiet truth most people miss. You can fake words, you can fake actions, but you can't fake emotional resonance. It's instinctive. Like two instruments tuned to the same frequency, when one vibrates, the other responds. Think about the people in your life. How many of them truly feel what you feel? Not many. So when you find someone whose emotional state subtly aligns with yours, who is affected by your highs and lows in a way that feels natural, not forced, you're not just looking at care, you're witnessing connection at a deeper level, the kind that doesn't need constant validation, the kind that doesn't rush to define itself, because it already knows what it is, and maybe, just maybe, so do you. Love in its purest form rarely arrives loudly. It doesn't always confess itself in perfect timing or clear words or grand gestures. Instead, it lingers in the unnoticed, in the way someone listens, in the way they remember, in the way your absence touches them, and your happiness moves through them. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "What is not good for the hive is not good for the bee." And maybe love is just that, a quiet merging of two emotional worlds, where what affects one begins to affect the other. So the next time you find yourself questioning whether someone feels something deeper, don't just listen to what they say. Watch what they can't help but reveal. Because sometimes the loudest "I love you" is the one never spoken.